Good afternoon, everyone. This is Financial Literacy 101, and I just want to take this time to talk about the fourth principle of Kwanzaa. The fourth principle of Kwanzaa. Now, I know I might mess up a few of the, actual pronunciation, but nonetheless, the fourth principle of Kwanzaa is umoji. Okay, umoji. I'm sorry. is Ujama, my bad, my Ujama. That is the fourth principle of Kwanzaa. Now, I know there's not a lot of people who actually follow Kwanzaa, and I understand that this actually was established by an African doctor back in 1966, and all of the words are from Swahili. Now, we need to understand that Ujama, man, I'm messing this up. Ujama, umoji. It stems from Cooperative Economics. Okay, so excuse me for not pronouncing it correctly. I've been trying to pronounce it and remember it. There's only certain words in Swahili, like Mzungu, that I could actually remember because I say it a lot. But nonetheless, it means Cooperative Economics, and this is to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. Now, I was looking at a video about Tariq Nasheed, and he was talking about, are you ready to hold power? And what he was basically saying, hypothetically, if all the white people in the world just disappeared, all the white people in America just disappeared, how would we maintain America? Because we don't have our own stores, we don't have our own shops, we don't have our own businesses. We're not part of the infrastructure in America. Right, we don't have a large population of people working in electricity and energy, in the food industry, in the water plants. Okay, all of these different sectors of business that we simply don't have a presence in, and it made me think about this fourth principle of Kwanzaa. Okay, the fourth principle of Kwanzaa actually means a lot about cooperative economics, because the one thing that I was saying before is umoji is unity, okay? And that's to strive for and to maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and our race, which is very, very important. And now I know I saw some video that Kamala Harris was talking about Kuji Chakalia, about self-determination, to define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves. Now, my main thing, of course, is probably Ujamaa, and the one I'm talking about today. Ujamaa is collective work and responsibility. That is the third principle on the third day of Kwanzaa, okay? And that simply means to build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters problems, and our problem solve them together. So essentially, I remember growing up, well, even before me, so to speak, that I hear that when someone got in trouble or someone needed help, that the entire community came in to help one another. The entire community came in to help one another. And I really don't see that anymore. I don't really see collective work and responsibility. Okay, everybody now are closing their doors. I know there's been a lot going on when it comes to violence, social media. So a lot of people essentially do not like to get involved. Okay, that's what's going on right now. A lot of people do not like to get involved with other people's business, but there was a sense of community. We use a term that it takes one village to raise a child. Okay, one village to raise a child, or one community to raise a child, and that means when your child is up and down the block, whether they're in trouble or they're doing something themselves, the community corrected them and also told their parent. It wasn't obscene for people to correct other people's kids because there was trust, there was love, there was a sense of belonging, there was responsibility in the community. Now, but the fourth principle of Kwanzaa, and I'm not saying we celebrate Kwanzaa, but these are some really good principles, okay, that I think that we can now reflect on and implement them in our daily lives. Okay? Now, this next one is Ujama. Ujama. Now, let me make sure I'm pronouncing this correctly because I feel like I'm butchering it. I want to make sure that I'm absolutely pronouncing this correctly. Okay. Let me see how I'm pronouncing this. Ujama. Ujama. Let me make sure.
Ujama.
Ujama. So I'm correct. Ujama. Had to make sure because I was practicing it. Ujama means cooperative economics. And again, it means to build and maintain our own stores that we need to support. Okay, and shops and other businesses, and to profit from them together. See, each and every group that I know of, other than the Black community, support their own. And here's another thing: we are the ones who support other communities. I mean, whether it be Indian, I go to Indian restaurants, I go to Indian shops. Asian, I go to Asian restaurants, I go to Asian shops. Caucasian, I go to Caucasian restaurants, I go to Caucasian shops. So essentially, you see what I'm saying. But soon as we put the label that this is a Black-owned business, why do we automatically don't want to support that business, subconsciously thinking that either the grade or the level of quality is degraded because it's from our own? Where I know that we produce some of the greatest products just as any other business or any other race and anybody else, because we're not practicing cooperative economics. We're not practicing community economics. See, some communities like the Jewish community, they like to spend their money in their own community because they are enriching and empowering their own people. You ever heard that your dollar should circulate your neighborhood 10 to 15 times? Because that's what the Jewish people do. They like to spend money with other Jewish people, making each other rich, growing each other business. And then, of course, they market and advertise to everybody else. So not only do they have their own people supporting their business and their community, but they have outside people bringing in outside money, which increases their community wealth. This is one of the things that we actually need to practice in the Black community. Now, and I know today I've been on a couple times and I'm really talking about very unpopular topics, but I believe that these topics for the new year are very, important and important to our self-being and our self-sustaining, so we can grow our own community and grow ourselves. These are unpopular, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to kid you. I know more people will want to know about stimulus. People want to know about investments. But here's the thing: before we get to any of those things, we have to have self-determination. We have to have unity, and we have to have group cooperative economics. And that's the one thing that we lack in our community. We are afraid to share with our own. I mean, think about it like this. Kwanzaa itself means the first fruits of the harvest. It means the first fruits of the harvest. And that's something that we need to really bring in, comprehend, regurgitate, and understand, because it's imperative to our self-determination of who we are and how we reflect on one another. Now, and again, I know that Kwanzaa for the past, 10, 15 years have really been lost. It's kind of coming back in a sense. And I'm not saying, go light your candles like Hanukkah, not like that. But the principle, the wording is very important. Because when is the last time that you've actually practiced group economics? Meaning that if you are African descended person, if you're foundational Black American, that you actually try to look for a Black owned business for your beauty products. and not from the Asians. And I have nothing against them. They're making their money, but they pander to the Black community, and it works. Okay, some people are, oh, I can't find a Black-owned beauty supply store. Well, they have them online. I know they have a lot of shops out of Atlanta. A lot of Black majority cities have Black-owned beauty supply stores, but we're not supporting them. We're supporting other people, enriching their communities and enriching their family. And then we point the finger back on other people and tell this is the reason why we're not doing good. So this 1.2, 1.3 trillion dollars that we like to pout and bang on our chests about, who are we spending it with? We're not spending it with our own. We're giving it to you, the Italians, with Balenciagos and Fendi and Gucci and Prada, right? We're not practicing cooperative economics. We're not practicing group economics. We like to give everybody our money except our own. It's kind of like me. I try to find, when I'm doing things with my home, I'm trying to like upgrade my home little by little. I try to find Black contractors. And it's not because I have anything against Hispanic contractors or white contractors, but we understand that the highest percentage of unemployment is in the Black community. So as a Black man, if I have the economics, if I have the finances to hire someone to do a job, why not empower and pay my own to help him and his family out? Why wouldn't I do that? Because here's the thing, when we tag the Black label on it, oh, you're being prejudiced, you're being racist, but everybody else do, they just don't voice it. It's not like a white dude, like I'm looking for a contractor. So it's not like he goes out and search for a Black contractor, because he knows most likely any contractor he does business with is Caucasian, is a Mzungu. He automatically knows that. And when it comes to Hispanics, they know they have a whole network of people who know how to do different things in houses. So they just call one of their, cousins or brothers or friends or associates, and they may know somebody who knows somebody. Because if I knew somebody in this area, because I'm new to this area, I would call them up. Because the first person I called was a Black contractor, and he told me the job was too big for him. But I'm trying to practice group cooperative economics to empower my people, even in the community that I am. Okay, because I live in a mixed community, but the majority of the community is Caucasian. But I'm still going out, looking on websites, searching to keep money within certain households, because this is what other people do. But when we talk about it, it's like we're prejudiced or racist or biased, and that's none of the things. I'm just doing exactly what everybody else is doing. I'm doing what everything. And here's another thing. We feel as though that when we hire our own, you're not going to get the same quality. We also feel, I've talked to a couple of people, right? And a few situations have deterred them from hiring Black again, even though they're Black people. Meaning some of their encounters, some of their situations, it's all, well, he came in, he told me he was going to do this, and have all these things. But I told him, I said, hey, man, that happens with everybody. That happens with any race, that a job didn't go well, or they try to upcharge you. Those things occur in business all the time. It don't matter. So essentially, we're only 13.4% of the race, but we have the highest percentage of unemployment. It goes back to Ujamaa. Are we practicing group cooperative economics? We're not practicing Ujamaa. We're not practicing this. We're not practicing this, ladies and gentlemen. We're not supporting our own stores, shops, and businesses, so we can profit from each other together. That is what we're missing out on. Ujama is a Swahili word, by the way, and we know Swahili is mostly spoken in East Africa, and this whole term of Kwanzaa came about in 1966 by a African doctor who brought this for African Americans. And I actually like the whole concept of Kwanzaa, because everybody got something. Everybody has something, People in this nation most likely are Christians. So we do the whole Christmas thing. Jewish have Hanukkah. And this came about with Kwanzaa for us, for African Americans who are African descendants from the African continent. But if you don't practice Kwanzaa, if you don't believe in Kwanzaa, if you don't follow Kwanzaa, then the least you can do is understand the principles. And this is one of the key principles I absolutely love. Group economics, cooperative economics, where you're building and maintaining within your nation, within your community, within your race. Everybody does it, because even in the Jewish community, where they want their dollar bill to circulate 10 to 15 times before going outside the community, they still go out and shop in white stores, right? Because who owns all the grocery stores? Other than when you go to like Koreatown or Chinatown or something like that, yeah, you're going to get those Asian stores, but most likely people go to regular grocery stores like Food Line and Kroger and Safeway and Giant, okay? Costco's, all of these are white-owned businesses essentially. So everybody does business with different races, but we're the one race that, one, in my belief, from what I've seen, other races don't shop black. Now that they know it's black, they don't shop black. Then two, black people don't shop black. And then we wonder, like, why are we not doing well? Because we're not supporting our own. Because if we supported our own, we will grow our businesses. And guess what we will hire? Guess what we will hire? Black people. Then black people have more jobs. If black people were supported more by black people, then there would be more jobs for who? Black people. We want everybody else to give us a job, but we can't give jobs to ourselves. Lord have mercy on our soul. You ever thought about that? If you supported more black people, there would be more jobs available for black people. Thus, there would be less black homelessness in America. Now, I'm not saying this whole responsibility does not fall entirely on our shoulders. We know that we have been held back by the government for a very long time, by other groups, and by the system of white supremacy for a very long time. But the one thing that we haven't practiced since the 60s almost is group economics. Is letting our dollars circulate in our neighborhoods. I remember growing up, and I grew up in the 80s. And I remember there was a black-owned shop. An old black guy in a black neighborhood owned this shop. And I want to say when I was around the age of 8, he sold that shop, or the shop wasn't being highly supported, and some Koreans bought it. I can tell you the difference in the climate in that shop. It changed to, hey, Mr. Derek, to you being followed around in that shop. To you, like, when you come inside the shop, instead of like, hey, what you guys looking for today? You guys want some peanut chews? To, hey, what do you want? I'm browsing. Oh, okay, just go and get it. What? Like, you're forcing me and rushing me to go get whatever I'm getting? The whole atmosphere changed. And I'm not saying that's what all of them do. This is not a monolith. This is not all inclusive. But this is some of the nature and some of the behavior that as melanated people we experience when we go into non-black stores. Okay, I'm not making this thing up. You know, somebody is like pretending like they're not watching you, but they're watching you. But this is on us, because we did not support our own. Yeah, there have been businesses, there have been shops that have been sabotaged by the powers that be. But we have always had a sense of survival and pride, and that nobody can knock us down. But to this day, there's more Black-owned businesses than there was for a very long time. But now most of these Black-owned businesses are what they call sole proprietorships, where there's just one person running the business. But here's the thing, everybody wants to grow their business. But in order to grow their business, they need to have more what? They need to have more business. They need more clients. They need more retail. They need more of your dollars. So if you're not going to a website like BOMB, Black-owned market, or you're not looking up Black-owned businesses, or if you love wine, you're not looking up the McAllister sisters with Black Girl Magic Wine. All these businesses that we have out there that we can absolutely support our own, and we don't. And we don't. And I know what it is. A sense of this, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, is convenience. We like, oh, I want it now. I don't want to wait because this person is not near me. I don't want to wait till it's shipped. But unless to empower our people, we have to have some sort of patience. We have to have some sort of determination. We have to have some sense of unity. We have to have some sense of unity. And this is not about, racial biases that I'm saying, oh, you shouldn't shop white. You shouldn't shop Asian. It has nothing to do with that. We're going to do that anyway because we were not in every sector, in every market of every industry. We're not there. But hopefully we can strive and encourage our kids to be in those markets because no one's doing blue collar jobs anymore. I wish I knew a black plumber. I wish I knew a black electrician because I would hire them first. And some of you like, you're going to hire them first based upon their skin color rather than their expertise. No, I'm saying I'm going to hire them based upon with who they relate to and their expertise. See, we're the only people that go through this, right? We're like, oh, well, if I go over there and talk to all these black people, then they're going to look bad upon it because it looks like we're a gang. And it's stereotypical of us how white America has shaped our minds to think when a group of black people together and majority of the surroundings are white, that we're some sort of club, some sort of gang, what type of event you have going on. Like, man, we're just getting together talking crap like you guys do. But this is how we have been trained subconsciously to think if we have a lot of black people together, that something's going on. You get what I'm getting at. But we don't practice group economics. We don't practice cooperative economics. And that is the fourth principle of Kwanzaa. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. And this is something that we absolutely have. This is something that we absolutely have to practice. We have to practice these things in order to create more jobs for ourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe to other people who might find this information useful. Like I know, during a time like COVID-19, a lot of topics, a lot of information, a lot of perspectives on topics like this, it's not very popular. People are like, man, I don't want to hear that right now. But the problem is if we don't start implanting this in our mind and regurgitate that information so we can start projecting that in our daily actions, because even though that there's a lot of people unemployed who don't have money, there's still a lot of people who are getting unemployment from their job, unemployment from their state, unemployment for the federal government. So there's people still spending money. But my question is, where are you spending money at? Because regardless of what's going on, when I roll outside my house, ladies and gentlemen, I see hundreds, if not thousands of people at shops. Not the grocery store, at shops, buying purses, buying shoes. There's still a line outside the Nike store in the outlets around my home. So the only thing I'm saying is, hey, if you have $100 and take, for instance, like, you like to buy certain products, I'm just asking you to think about buying black for once, because you're going to do business with everybody else. We all eat Asian food. Everybody like Asian food, okay? Some people like some of the Asian art. I get it. We're going to do business with everybody else. This is not about having racial biases or being prejudiced at all. This is about group economics. This is about supporting foundational Black Americans. Because when you support foundational Black Americans, you increase the probability of them having a larger business and having more jobs for us, and increasing our community and our wealth. I will love reparations just like the next guy. But sometimes while we're waiting, which may never happen, for the government to give us something, we have to create it for ourselves. Just a thought. Again, if you celebrate Kwanzaa, you understand this principle. Okay? This is, let me make sure I don't mess it up. I was about to mess it up. I was about to mess it up. I was about to tear it up. Okay? Ujama, thank you, baby. Ujama. And it's cooperative economics, and it means to build and maintain our stores, shops, and other businesses and to profit from them together. Now, I'm not saying that we should be like everyone else, but in this sense, we should have some of our dollars circulate the Black community, right? We go look for Black-owned businesses. Let it circulate 2 or 3 times before we go and spend it somewhere else with some other people who keep that dollar in their community 10 times the amount. Maybe Balenciagos and Jordans, maybe you can find some Black-owned shoes. Just a thought. If you want some expensive shoes that are Black-owned, what is the name of those shoes? Mr. Miyagi's, or I forgot what the name of them were, but a buddy of mine, he has like 13 pair, and these shoes $1,000 plus a pair. So if you like expensive, high grade, great looking shoes, I'll post that on my YouTube channel for you guys to take a look at. But believe me, ladies and gentlemen, when we spend our money with other races, they let that dollar circulate the community anywhere from 5 to 15 times before it goes out to another community. So this is something to think about. Practice group economics the best way you can. Go and search for those Black-owned businesses and support them so they can grow big and create jobs for us, just as well all these other large corporations had created Fortune 500 companies, and majority of those jobs go to white and Asians. This is Financial Literacy 101. Learn money and be inspired. You guys have a great and wonderful day, and practice Kwanzaa principle number 4. I'm out. Thanks.